Welcome modelers to my channel, Matt's Model Shop. I'm Matt, your host. I've been meaning to do something with this channel for a long time, and I actually got an idea for it when talking to my friend Boyd Crompton over at Trekworks. One of the things that he built a while ago was a 1/350 scale Enterprise Refit. And he did a fantastic job on it. He painted on all the Aztecs using iridescent paints with masks from Orbital Dry Dock, and the thing is just absolutely gorgeous. And one thing that happens whenever Boyd builds a model is what we all call the Boyd effect, where everybody goes out and tries to duplicate his successes by buying up all the paints and supplies and everything and the kits. And then they soon learn that he's been doing painting like that for 20 years and he's really good at it. And I told him, I was talking to him one time and I told him, you should build one of these things for the common man, you know, and do a build up on your channel where it's just using the decals and, you know, kind of a very simple build for people who are of, you know, not extremely advanced like you are. And he told me, well, you should get on that. So here I am. I've actually decided to try to build one of these for a very reasonable price, one that I get to show all of the ins and outs of the build, where basically anybody could do it. It's a difficult model to build because there's so much to it. It's very large, and you know, it's like the equivalent of doing 15 model kits packed into one. So it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of drive and a lot of pushing to get through to the end. That said, it's not impossible, and even a modeler of medium skill can build a really, really nice one. So I thought, well, why not try to do something like that? So over the course of the next, I'm going to try to keep this within 10 to 15 parts, but we're going to try to take this kit here and build it up using all of the kit stuff and only a few add-ons. I was actually going to do it just as is, but my friend Jerry at HDA Model Works convinced me to at least do photo etch, so I bought a photo etch set for it. The other thing that I bought from him to make the build a little bit easier was his clear parts mask set, because the one that I built for myself, one of the really difficult things on that kit was masking all of the little clear parts. So he makes a really great mask set for that. So I'm not going to, you know, bore everybody with going through the box and showing all the parts that are in it, because there are plenty of videos out there that do that. It's a fairly large model kit. It has, you know, 200 plus parts, and you know, it's not for the faint of heart, but like I said, it can be done. The one that I built it after I had built 4 other model kits. I, like many on here, I searched on YouTube and I found a build, and I was just blown away that this model even existed. So I decided to try to build one myself and try to get the skill set to do it. And I built 4 models and then tackled this thing, and let me tell you, it kind of put me through the paces, but I was able to do it. Now, one of the things that I did was I bought a lighting kit from a source online. It was one of the only sources available at the time, and it was a sort of a do-it-yourself lighting kit. It had all the parts to build it, but it didn't come pre-built, so I had to solder it all together. It came with all the wire, it came with all the LEDs and the flasher board and everything. That particular kit, though, the LEDs started to burn out after about 50 hours, so my refit is almost totally dark now. So this one will be a sort of replacement for it. I'm also building another one right now that I'm planning to do the full Aztec paint job on and everything, so one of these will get done first, probably this one. The other one I'm kind of taking my time and doing very carefully. This one I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna blaze through it and try to get it done, so that we can keep this video series on some sort of timeline. Unfortunately, I'd show off my refit, but it's basically completely dark. I did just complete a 537 though, which is kind of neat, and it is not dark. It is very, very shiny. That said, this particular kit will be lit. I'm going to show how to light it very inexpensively. We're going to use, we're not going to do any gimmicks, no, torpedo boards or, things to do impulse engines and whatnot and so on. We're just going to do a flasher board and that's it. Everything else is going to be pretty static. I may do a couple of modes, like one for impulse and one for warp, but for the most part it's just going to be very, very basic. If there's anything anybody would like to see, we can do that, but for the most part I'm just going to try to keep this one simple to allow people who need a simpler model to follow. This will be the simple one on YouTube where you don't have to you don't have to know how to build the real thing in order to do it. So that's pretty much the plans for this. I'm going to use the Aztec decals. I'm going to use the photo etch set. I'm going to try to use inexpensive tools. We're going to try to keep this at a low cost, so that if people don't have the tools, we'll say, hey, like my airbrush, for instance, I use a master airbrush that I got on Amazon. This and the compressor was $90. So you don't have to spend a lot of money in order to get into airbrushing. Later on down the road, if you choose to, get into bigger, better things, you can do that. But for now, for starting out, this airbrush works great. Things like that. So, like for powering it for testing, I used a wall wart for a long time. I have a regular power supply now, but when I started, I just used a wall wart and used alligator clips to power everything to see if it was working. I used a Radio Shack soldering iron to put it all together. I do have a soldering station now, but you can use whatever you can find that works. Of course, the better ones, of course, are easier to use and do a better job. But if you can make things work along the way. So we're going to try to go somewhat inexpensively. All of my LEDs I get from HDA Model Works. My LED tape, my LEDs, all the things that I need, I get from him. I also have a local hobby shop, a hobby town that I go to for things like paint and glue and whatever. So that kind of thing I get there. The other stuff I get from Jerry. So I'll put links for all of that stuff for Jerry's site down in the description, and I'll basically make sure that if you guys have any questions, I'll be sure to answer them. So the next part on this, I'm going to start on some of the internal bits, like the Shuttle Bay and the Arboretum and the Officers Lounge. Again, we're not going to go crazy. A lot of people like to do chaser lights and glow-in-the-dark thingies. That is not this build. This build is going to keep it simple. So the Shuttle Bay will be detailed and lit, and that's it. It will have all of the photo etch bits, all of the girders and stuff put in it. So, because that's a really straightforward update to do using the photo etch set, because it has all of that. We're going to use probably about 70% of what's on here, maybe 80% of what's on here to do this build. So I'm also thinking I'm going to do it as the 1701A, even though technically the Shuttle Bay that comes with it is for the refit, but who's going to know? So if there's anything you guys would like to see, please comment below, and I'll try to do that or incorporate it. I'm not going to go too crazy because, again, if you want to see all the crazy build stuff, go over to Boy's channel. He's done an amazing job. He's got a 24-part build-up on the refit with anything you could possibly know about how to build, you know, the biggest, baddest refit on Earth. This is just going to show that you can build a good one without going nuts. So, anywho, I think that about wraps this this episode up. So, the next episode, I'm going to start the interior bits. If anybody wants anything specific, let me know, and I will try to incorporate it. So, until next time, take care, and to coin Boyd's phrase, happy modeling, everyone.